There was once a pair of siblings, Truth, who was a brother, and Story, who was the sister. Now, Truth was a very serious young man. He dressed simply. His appearance was very plain, and he spoke straightforwardly when he spoke to people. Story, on the other hand, was flamboyant and dressed in beautiful clothes. Her face was always radiant, either radiantly joyful or sometimes so very radiantly sad. She would use lots of hand gestures. And she would involve people. People loved being around Story. Sometimes she would dance, and sometimes she would sing. Now, it is true that Truth was the wiser of the two, and he had great knowledge, and he enjoyed giving it to people, imparting it on others. Well, one day, he decided he had some wisdom, a message that he needed to impart on all of his neighbors. So, one thing you need to know about Truth is he hated falsehood and deception in all of its forms. And so, he decided, so that it would not be distracting to others, that he would take off all of his clothes and walk through the neighborhood to give his message. Well, he did just that. Now, he went on his journey, and as he was walking, his neighbors would see him, but they would hurry over to the other side and try not to make eye contact with him. This discouraged Truth, but he kept at it. He was persistent. He kept walking up and down the road, and no one would talk to him. Well, after several days, he came home, and he told his sister, "I don't know why, but no one will listen to me. I have this great message that I want to give." Well, Story just laughed. She said, "Brother, I know you mean well, but let me work with you for a little bit, and I'll teach you how to give your information in a way that people will listen." So she said, "First, go get some clothes on, something comfortable, something that you feel good in." So we did. She looked him over, and she said, "Okay, we can work with this." And she grabbed this beautiful, colorful scarf, put it around his neck, put on a jaunty hat for him, gave him a little bit of jewelry. Then she said, "Now look in this mirror and tell your message." And he did. And she said, "Now use some expression. Show some happiness in places and sadness in others. And when you come to an important word, raise your hands. Show some emphasis." So he practiced, and he got that. And she said, I realize that maybe this is kind of stretching it a bit, but do you think maybe you could, do a little dance or sing a little song? Well, Truth did work on it, and he got pretty good at doing it. She said, "Now that you've got that, one more tip. When you tell people information and try to have them learn it, if you use a little humor and maybe some surprise, people might like that too. And also set up your storytelling in a way that you bring in the audience. So ask them a question or bring out something that they're doing and relate the information to them." So Truth practiced and practiced and practiced and got his message down. Then he went back out into the neighborhood. Now, Story hung around behind just to see how things were going. Well, at first people were still a little leery, but eventually they warmed up to Truth. And soon he gathered a crowd around himself. They listened. They listened well. And at the end, they considered his point of view. The moral of this story? No one wants to listen to the naked truth, but if truth comes dressed in story, everyone listens.